I'm very happy to be with you tonight. As you can listen, English is definitely not my mother tongue. So, of course, I won't speak fast. I will speak slowly. And most of all, I will share a few thoughts and few ideas about this beautiful power of silence. But most of all, I would like it to be experiential. Baba was talking a lot about the authority of experience in the last Avyakt Moli, last Sunday. And experience is so important, much more important than all the words we can say. So first of all, silence is definitely a dimension that Baba loves. Actually, he lives in this dimension. And it's definitely not the criteria of today's world. It's a world of noise, a world which is always triggering all the sense organs. You know, we are always distracted. Our attention is splitted in all sorts of things. So silence is not natural nowadays. So it means we have to make some effort to be in silence and to go to dive into this dimension. Now, the way I feel the meaning of all our journey for me is that Baba is uplifting us, bringing us into his dimension, into silence, into the divine intellect, into his divine perspective, you know, in his world. He's uplifting us in his world. And I would say for 63 births, the tendency has been to humanize God. I don't know if this word exists in English, but I make him human, like humans, you know, maybe in order to be easily, to have easily and easier access to God. But this is definitely not, this is definitely a wrong perception of God. So we are going exactly the opposite way of the world. You know, the more the world is going down, the more we have to go up, you know, the more Baba is uplifting us, is lifting us up. Sorry. So the first question I could ask myself is, what is my relationship to silence? Is silence my best friend? Do I feel comfortable when I am in silence or with silence? Or do I need to fill it with something? I would say that's the first question I could ask myself. Now, actually, as I was mentioning, Baba is pulling us to his world. And how does he do it? For me, he gives a method. I could even call it a practice. I could even call it, you know, a process. And the method, the way I understand it, are the 4 subjects: Gyan, knowledge; Yoga, the connection to God, to Baba; Dana, the practice in my day-to-day life; and Seva, the service. I would say that's the process Baba is giving us in order to reach his world, in order to rise up our consciousness until his dimension. Now, how does it work? Again, according to my understanding. First of all, Baba gives us Gyan. He gives us his own introduction. And that's the way to have a direct connection with God, with Baba. You know, day before yesterday, in the Moli, Baba was saying, how can you imbibe Gyan if you don't have a direct connection with the Father? So both are absolutely connected. First, Baba gives me knowledge, and this knowledge allows me to reach him, allows me to connect with him. Now, the first step here, through Gyan, Baba widens my consciousness. He opens up my consciousness because with Gyan, I can understand lots of things. I can understand the meaning of life. I can understand each and everything which is happening, giving meaning to what's happening in the world. You know, he opens my consciousness. Now, thanks to Gyan, thanks to the introduction he gives us, we can connect ourselves to Baba in a true manner. You know, Baba says sometimes we are very few to know him as he is or what he is. So again, very important to connect myself in an accurate way. And thanks to this connection, thanks to my yoga with Baba, I will understand more and more deeply Gyan. There's a total interconnection between both. Now, something extraordinary is that we cannot change consciousness through information. It doesn't work. Gyan is not information. Gyan is a knowledge, spiritual knowledge, given by God. So only this spiritual knowledge given by God, when it is imbibed, then it creates a realization. And thanks to this realization, I can change my consciousness. I can jump into a divine consciousness. So again, what is my relationship with Gyan? How do I explore it? Do I take time to think about it, to reflect on it in silence? I think if we start from the beginning, as Baba was mentioning, so often, you know, in the Molis, God speaks. God only says the truth. Just these two aspects, if they are realized, if there is something in Gyan that I can't understand, then okay, it's because my level of consciousness is not high enough, is not enough open, widen. So let me churn, let me reflect on it, rather than stepping into the human logic, which would say, why is it like that? Why does he say this? Why? I can't understand. This is not possible. This is putting Gyan or looking at Gyan or reflecting on Gyan with a human logic. And it doesn't work because Gyan has nothing to do with a human logic. It's divine logic, godly logic. Okay? So, thanks to Gyan and yoga, of course, because of this, because I will imbibe the knowledge, Baba's knowledge, and because of my close relationship with Baba, then it has to be an impact on my day-to-day life, on my behavior, on my attitude. And this is dharana, the practice of it. So change should be seen also in myself. And the ultimate aim is to be full of virtues. So each and every day I will progress. I will become sweeter. I will become more tolerant. I will become, better, I would say. So dharana is, I would say, a consequence of the two, of Gyan and yoga. And so dharana is not, that I follow some principles, I follow some directives, some directions just because I have to. No, it's just a deep, deep, deep understanding, deep realization, which makes me change my life. And then seva, service. I would say it's the natural implementation of Gyan, yoga, and dharma. Of course, just by the way I am, that will give an experience or that will inspire others. And that's what Baba is saying nowadays. Less and less words and more be. Be what you are. Reveal the Father through your attitude, through your eyes, through your face. Okay? Now let's imagine that for some reason, I just arrive in Gyan, or even not arrive in Gyan, even if I am quite, senior in Gyan, whatever. Just imagine that I love Baba and I want to share his knowledge. So from Gyan, I jump into Seva, which happens sometimes. Full of love with Baba, yes, but are my words filled with Baba's connection? Are my words filled with yoga? As Baba is mentioning, if not, then the arrow won't reach the target. And what will happen then? Of course, this is the best intention you can imagine, but it's a wrong process. So what might happen at that time? Instead of feeling the pulse of the soul, instead of taking into account the context, the situation, the country I am, the background of the soul, whatever it is, instead of that, I will have the tendency to deliver a content. They need to know. They need to be aware. I need to tell them. But this is not the right method. The right method is Gyan, yes, but with my powerful connection with Baba, I feel I am an instrument, Baba's instrument, and Baba does the work. And by having this powerful connection with Baba, he will inspire me and I will say whatever has to be said. And the soul will go back fully satisfied, full of whatever she has to take, and not of what I want her to take. You see, it's totally different. Okay, so thanks to this method, we develop a divine intellect, which means clear and pure and powerful. And thanks to this divine intellect, then I am able to have powerful discernment. And I will be able to choose the environment I want to be in, and I will be able to develop more and more silence inside me. And what happens very often is I need to question myself about my relationship to others. Do I depend on the opinions of others? Do I seek for approval? Do I need to be seen? Do I need to be recognized, acknowledged? You know, sometimes after the Moli, someone is sharing some ideas or some points from the Moli, and the soul is looking each and everywhere, seeking for approval. Now, the problem is, if I still need others either to quieten my fears or to confirm my value, I will never be in silence. There will always be noise inside myself. What? What? Are they happy? Was it okay? Did I speak well? This is noise. This is not silence. So, how much am I fully aware of who am I? Of the beauty of myself? That I am a unique, beautiful being. And this, I won't get it just from, something intellectual, but through yoga. When I feel Baba's love, when I feel I am loved by God Himself, what else? What do I need? So, in this way, I can really go into the depth of myself. Long time ago, in those days, we were meeting Baba face to face. And he told me something I would like to share because, of course, it applies to each of us. Baba said, whatever each one is like, they can never forget themselves. Whatever each one is like, they can never forget themselves. Which means, deep inside us, we know who we are. And we can only grasp it through silence, through an experience. It won't be something intellectual. I can make a list of my qualities. I can make a list of what people say about me. But no, it's my experience of Baba's love, of Baba's drishti on me that will allow me to know really who am I, to know really how much I am someone precious in the eyes of God. Okay? Now, what happens is, as I was mentioning, in terms of dharna, if we have a deep, deep, deep understanding and realization of Dhyan, then of course, it will have an impact on the practice in my day-to-day life. I would like to take a few examples. Few years back, we had a chit-chat with Brother Ken. Brother Ken is in Brazil, in charge of Brazil since many, many years. He's a very old yogi, very accurate, very knowledgeful, and we always have a lot of joy to share Jan with him. And he told us we should be more aware of small, small negative karma in day-to-day life, because this prevents us from progressing. And I was really thinking about it. You know, I thought, wow, yes, he is right. And I would like to take few examples. I only take examples that I know, you know, I'm not a theoretical person. So, of course, you will find your own examples. Let's imagine, for instance, because, you know, I'm quite often asked to translate. I'm translator, same as some of you on tonight for this session. So let's imagine that someone is asked to translate a class few days before. And the day he has to translate, maybe 2 hours before, the soul says, no, I'm sorry, I can't. And it's not because of an urgent thing, you know? It's not because of a major event which prevent him or her from doing it. It's just because he or she, the soul, changed her mind. Something else has come on the way. He has taken or she has taken the responsibility to do something which is important. And at the last minute, the soul don't do it. What impact? What is the impact on the soul? What is the impact on the other one who has to 2 hours before find another translator? And if it's not translated, then what about the family who was expecting something and won't get it? You know, this is karma. We could, of course, multiply the examples in this way. So many times, you know, we say, I do it and I don't do it, or even procrastination. You know, sometimes I don't do it just because, you know, I leave it. I will do it later on. But what's the impact on me? What's the impact on the others who are expecting my answer? What is it? This creates some karma. Or let's imagine, you know, in France, we have a dress code, especially in France. You know, you can't dress as you want, you know. So, of course, when we are in a retreat all together, bouquets, being in white, you know, everything is good. But as soon as we go outside, as soon as we have a retreat in another place, you know, with people around, with, you know, we have to be careful. We have to adjust. And quite often we say to PKs, oh, please, don't wear only white. Don't put on your kurta pajamas because, you know, kurta pajamas mean pajama in France. Okay. Now, let's imagine that I don't follow the instruction because I feel so well in my kurta pajama. And, you know, a retreat means we are wearing a kurta pajama. And so I go around with my kurta pajama all day long, crossing, meeting some people, I mean, external people, people from outside. Okay. And maybe some other BKs will see me and they will think, oh, we thought we shouldn't, or it was not advised to wear a kurta pajama, but look at this one. She's wearing it. So why not me? You know, I don't follow the instruction. Some others will see me and might do the same. And at the end, maybe people outside will say, oh, these people are so strange. What are they wearing? What is it? Is it a sect? Is it a cult? You see, this is karma. Now, the problem is the karma is cumulative. It means it is added. You know, when Baba says, one drop of yoga makes an ocean, in the same way. Little mistake plus another little mistakes. And one day something huge will fall on my head. And I will think, wow, what is it? What happens to me? But also these, I would say, small. It's not small, but let's call them like that. Small negative karmas are creating something in my consciousness. It is impacting my consciousness. I will never be totally peaceful inside because of that. I know I'm wrong. I know I've done a mistake. And first of all, it laminates my self-confidence. How can I be self-confident? Because actually I know I've done wrong. And how can I be peaceful inside? Because, well, I shouldn't have done it. Okay? Okay. So I need to understand also what is the influence of today's world in my inner world. And there I would share with you few ideas. Baba is talking about the new forms of Maya. What could that be? For me, a new form of Maya is our relationship to time. You know, when you are in silence, there's no time. Maybe you remain in silence 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You just don't know. In silence, there's no perception of time. Now, what happens in today's world is we have to rush. Rush, rush, rush. Go fast. And the new technologies have created what I would call a principle of immediacy. Immediacy means everything has to be immediate. I receive a SMS, I receive a WhatsApp, I receive an email. I need to answer immediately. Everything has to be instant because that's, I would say, the fragrance of the world today. Quick, 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 rush, rush, rush. Now, because of everything has to be immediate, what is the impact of this? What is the consequence? It kills reflection. I have no time to reflect. I'm always reactive, always reactive. And what's the consequence of this? I won't be in silence. I can't dive into silence because I'm always, always, always reactive. You know, to be in silence, I need to decide to take some time, to take a moment to sit, don't do anything, and be in silence. But silence is not only this, because I can speak whilst being in silence inside, because silence is a vibration. Now, another thing I would like to share, and you know, again, it's just my own opinion. You know, I take lots of precautions. It's my relationship with AI, artificial intelligence. You know, nowadays, I would call it one of the splendor of Maya. That's my own point of view. Because what happens? During the last Aviak Morley, you know, this season, 5 minutes after, 5 minutes after the Moli was finished, one brother has, sent us a WhatsApp. All Baba's points, a summary of all Baba's points in this Moli done by AI. Incredible. 5 points. We were amazed. And instantly we answered this soul saying, wow, but what do you do? Do you realize that it's not your reflection? It's not your churn. And instantly, again, the soul answered us, okay, if you don't like it, I will no longer send you this type of messages. But the soul hasn't realized. Actually, AI is destructing our power of reflection. And people like nowadays things which are easy and immediate, as I was mentioning, and AI is this. You just ask a question, I don't know, 10, 20 seconds afterwards, you've got an answer, something fully well done. But what is it? It's anyway some human beings who have given the machine lots of data, and the machine is processing it to give you something. But anyway, it's ready-made thinking. So if it was said in this way, we would not accept. No, I will never accept ready-made thinking. But I don't realize that AI is just this. So I feel it's quite dangerous. And I think we have to, well, actually, that's what I do. Call into questions new technologies. Of course, as Baba is mentioning, lots of those technologies are for our best, It's so incredible to be able to see the Moli revision directly from Madhuban. This is technology. So everything depends on the consciousness with which we use them. So we have to be very, very aware and very cautious about it. So Baba asked us to do subtle efforts nowadays. And he says, don't be so, I would say, focused on external aspects, because that leads to extraversion. And we know extraversion will never allow us to go into silence. So I would say, and I would finish here so that some people can ask questions if they want. I would say, silence again is a consequence. Is a consequence of my understanding of Gyan, which gives me all answers. My relation with Baba, which again gives me this power and pulls me towards his dimension. And silence is also part of my dana, make sure that I don't do those mistakes I was talking about. And then if Seva, as I was mentioning, it's natural implementation of Gyan, Yoga, and Dharma, then no question, I'm just Baba's instrument, and Baba is the boss. He does the work. So again, no question. So as he is mentioning, I do something, and then be incorporeal and go into silence. Now, how do silence become the power of silence? The power of silence means it is silence filled with Baba's vibration. In the same way that Mama used to say that a virtue is a quality filled with Gyan. I would say the power of silence is silence filled with Baba's vibration. And then it becomes a power because it's so nourishing, so rich, and it spreads everywhere. And Baba says, this is now the service which is needed. Spread the power of silence. Be in silence so that you are not influenced by external situations, by today's world, noisy world, today's chaos, we can even say. And this needs a lot of attention. We have to be aware. We have to remain cautious about each and everything which is happening and which might prevent us from staying on the right track with Baba, with his Gyan, with his knowledge, and with all the good advices he gives us. Okay. Does anyone want to ask a question?
Before I read the questions, first of all, thank you so much. But I was just wondering, after talking a lot about the silence and the power of silence, why not to have a wonderful experience with you, the silence? And then we can take some questions. Is that okay?
Of course. Thank you.
Wow, I just feel like that.
Yes.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Thank you so much. Let me see. We have some questions I can see here. Okay, there are some things. This is some in different language, but here's one question. So I think this is what we wear, especially in white clothes. She was wondering, so you wear white clothes outside your center and others think that you're a sect. That means you created karma?
Yes, well, this is not exactly like that. You know, we dress, I would say, in a normal way when we go outside. You know, because it's not because I wear white clothes that I am pure inside or that I am a BK, you know. It's not the costume or the dress I wear which makes the spiritual being. No, that's not what I was wanting to say. It's we have to adapt to the environment. So when I said I, but actually it's not I, it's we together. We have to adapt. So if there is an instruction which is given to me for good reasons, I have to follow it because otherwise that might create disservice. That's what I wanted to say. Because in France, if you wear a kurta pyjama, uh, it seems strange. You know, I live in south of France, and in summertime, many people wear white, and it's okay because you know the sun, the beach, and everything. You know, in Paris, it's slightly different. So we adapt to the situation, we adapt to the context. That's all what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's very true. The power to adjust, we have to use it. If we have some responsibility, some roles in society, it's like, you know, I used to have a full-time job. And when I go to this company to do my work, then of course I had a different costume, not going with my BK costume or BK clothing. That's very true. I think that's something here in French. Can you help me to read it, please? It starts with para obtener el silencia. I don't know, is it French or is it Spanish?
Spanish, I think.
Is it Spanish?
Yes, I don't understand.
Ah, okay. So if somebody can translate for us, please.
Oui, il y a quelqu'un qui dit, oh, sorry. Someone says that to get into silence, we need to have solitude. Yes, but yes and no, I would say, because you can be in silence together with people, you know. It can be in a gathering and yet you're focused inside. Or as I was mentioning, you can talk and be in silence. You know, it's a vibration that makes you totally focused and really in tune with Baba's vibration. Then no problem. You can talk, you can be outside, you can be with people, whatever. So you don't need to be actually alone.
Mm. Well, as far as I understand, we don't talk about the physical silence here or the silence in the environment, but it's an internal silence, silence in the mind, what you're talking about. Is that right?
Yes, of course.
Of
Of
course.
course.
There is another one still in another language, so I'm not able to read it.
It's in
Uh,
Spanish.
is
I
it
don't
again?
know.
Yeah,
No, I'm not able to read it.
again, can somebody translate it for us?
So, of course, as I can see, a question is, of course, karma is positive. There is negative karma and there is positive karma, of course. Now, it's not because it's not a question of what the majority think about, karma is a law, so it's not a question of the opinion of the majority. It's a question of the either it's positive or either it's negative. It has nothing to do with the I would say the way people think about it.
Yeah, that's very nice. That's very good. Thank you. But still, I think there's Spanish here, another one, and we're not able to read it. I'm sorry. Somebody needs to translate it in the chat box. Otherwise, we're not able to answer the questions.
It seems, again, it's about, I would say, white costume, white dress. But, I think we shouldn't give so much importance to that example. It was just an example.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is in which way do we do some mistakes, in day-to-day life, because not being enough aware of the consequences of what we do. That's all what I wanted to say. So no need to to say so many things about the white costume or not white.
That's right. So let me just ask another question. For me, I think it's the most deepest thing and most important thing. Our relationship with Baba. As you mentioned at the beginning, that we have to ask ourselves, what is my relationship with silence? And how can I imbibe the Gyan if I don't have a direct connection with Baba, an accurate connection? So can you just relate some of your experiences, own your experience? You have been with Baba for 40 years. It's a lifetime experience. So you must have some tips for us. So how can you say that? How can we create that deep and accurate relationship and connection with Baba?
For me, the first aspect is to realize that Baba loves me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the basis. Everything we do is actually out of love. Mm-hmm. We are not compelled to do anything. It's out of love that we decide that we have chosen this life. And then what happens is, as Baba is mentioning, love appeals love, So the more we have love, the more Baba loves us. And one thing is important is, yes, to love Baba, but to feel his love, in meditation, during our yoga time, to feel the love coming from Baba and nourishing me. I think that's really creating this close connection. And the second aspect is to, as Baba was mentioning, to let Baba be my companion in day-to-day life and to see all the aspects where I'm inspired by Baba for doing things or not doing things or, feeling his presence. I mean, subtle, very subtle presence. But I feel inspired, some touching, and again, for this, I need to be in silence. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
I agree, completely agree with you. That's perfect. Yeah. If we have been with Baba for so many years, that's the pure love for Baba is keeping us and sustain us, our service, our yoga life, yogi life. But I just have a question, sometimes after so many years, some people lose their enthusiasm for the knowledge maybe, or for the service, not, having the same feelings, or most of the time Baba reminds us, remember your childhood. And we forget our childhood, how we get, all the support from Baba, and how we have this joy and this keen to have service. So how can you sustain this really? Do you have any tips for that?
First, I would say, Baba always says, remember your childhood. So keep remembering how it was when we came to Baba. The first experiences we had with Baba, they are always were just wonderful. And the second aspect, as I was mentioning, is keep my consciousness open, keep my consciousness really, really active, you know. And for this, Baba is giving the answer. Churn, churn, churn. Churn Baba's knowledge and see how it is wonderful. We can always learn something during all our life, but it's a process, as I was mentioning, and it has to be kept active.
I think this is so important. Okay, so I think that's all I'm looking.
And maybe just one thing more I would like to share.
Yeah, please, please.
Because as I was mentioning, I met Baba face to face. And that was a beautiful experience, of course. And nowadays, some souls say, oh, I would have liked to meet Baba face to face. I would have loved, to have this experience. And what I can say, taking into account my experience, is nowadays, when we are just in front of our computer and Baba is just there, when we look at the Moli revision and we have Bab Dada in front of us. Now, if you look thoroughly at Baba's Brishti, if you really feel that Baba is there, even though he is not physically there, but certainly he's there, you get exactly the same experience. So, no one can be deprived of anything. It's just, again, a question of consciousness. So if I am in the right consciousness, then definitely I will get the same experience as we had before. And nowadays it's easy.